gentlemen, we are back. Our tail of the tape for our main event this evening has everything you could possibly want and more. Steven Siler has been to the top. Brandon is trying to climb his way to the top. Who takes that next step in their ultimate goal? Let's head into the ring and find out with the official introductions and Britt Talbert.
Fight fans! Are you ready to watch Idaho MMA history right in front of your eyes? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our main event. And now let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the red corner, he steps into the Front Street Fights cage with a record of 22 wins against only 11 defeats. Standing in at 5'8", 9 inches tall and weighing in at 143 pounds. He represents the Pit Elevator Group out of Orem, Utah. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Super Steven Siler! And fighting out of the blue corner, he returns home. You fans here in Boise, Idaho, with a record of 10 wins against 2 defeats, standing in at 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing in at 135.5 pounds, representing Sklavos MMA from Twin Falls, Idaho. Would you please welcome, for the first time inside a Front Street Fight cage, it's the man they call Hot Rod, Hempleman. Our referee when the action begins for our main event is Mr. Ruland Day. Ruland, fighter's instructions, please.
Okay, this is main event. You both know the rules. I expect you to obey my commands at all times. Let's have a good, clean fight. Let's touch gloves if you want to, and come out fighting.
Mitch, here we go with our main event. Super Steven Siler, Brandon Hot Rod Hempleman. Sit back, relax, get ready for the biggest fight in Idaho MMA history. Mitch, are you ready for this one?
Oh, I'm more than ready. You know, this is an amazing fight. Like I said, look at the physiques. You know, you could tell these guys are durable. You're going to have to bring out a body bag to put these guys away. This is going to be a serious fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. You can feel the electricity inside this room, the crowd digging this one. I'm telling you right now, Mitch, I got chills just getting ready to see what we're about to see. Brandon going straight for a leg sweep there.
Exactly.
Now, that does take a lot out. People might not think those leg kicks bring a lot of weight, but over time, you land a few of those, that's going to start weakening up those legs of your opponent.
Exactly. Steven's doing good, you know, firing back. You know, Brandon's doing good because he's the aggressor. That was a nice, tough leg kick. Brandon's just trying to get his range. You know, Steven's doing real good. He's real calm. You could see his face. You know, he's real chill. You know, and that sometimes is bad, but it also denotes some you know, confidence.
And again, trying to get he got one there a few minutes ago. Lands a right hook there and got a leg kick on him as well. Both opponents, as we saw in one of the earlier fights, this one appears like we're going to see a lot more stand-up punching action, but still taking their time and kind of feeling each other out, not making that first move. 2 seasoned veteran fighters knowing that it takes time and stamina, and you really got to pace yourself out.
Nice. That was a haymaker right there. It was well timed. It's just off the mark a little bit from Hot Rod.
And we are just over a minute into our first round, scheduled 3 rounds, 5 minutes apiece. Our main event, Front Street Fights 4, presented by bodybuilding.com. You're watching Steven Super Siler and Brandon Hot Rod Hempleman. These leg kicks are coming from both of these opponents right now.
Brandon, check that leg kick, that last leg kick. That hurts. But Hot Rod also, or Siler also slid away from the return leg kick. So, you know, it's just like it's a little bit of gamesmanship. You know, it's I really like how they're controlling the center of the ring, and they're just staying in the pocket and trying to fire off. You could tell these guys are pros.
Different than what we saw earlier between I believe it was Weston Barnes and Freddie Ortega.
Oh yeah.
Neither one of them are budging an inch, and a hard right hand there from Brandon Hempleman. I believe that was all right.
I think that clipped him. Steven's doing good, getting back in the pocket again, you know.
And he returns the favor to Brandon a little bit.
Yeah. Brandon's doing really good. He needs to do that lateral movement side to side, you know, keep up with that bounce, and that's hard to get the range on the guy, you know. and Steven's doing good marching him down in the back of the cage, putting his back to the cage.
Couple of late kicks, both coming in. You said clip. Nothing seems to really have fully landed yet.
Right, exactly. But, that's where it's a filling out process. These guys are really just, feeling each other out. They're taking damage and exchanging punches.
Takes a couple of kicks to the rib cage there from Steven Siler as Brandon Hempleman able to duck another left punch coming there.
Yeah, they're both a little flat-footed. I like to see them bounce a little bit more. It's getting back to
Steven's
it.
picking it up. Brandon is a little bit too. Again, both trying to get those punches in. Oh, big hit by Steven Siler. This could be a surprise. Caught a right hand. Can Brandon survive this? It's done. It is done. It is done. We have an upset, ladies and gentlemen. Out of nowhere. Stunned silence by the crowd here. Brandon doesn't know what's going on.
It's really sad to see, when you put a lot of hard work into that, you get clipped. And that's exactly what happens. They get clipped, and that's the fight game. Unfortunately, you can prepare all you want, and then it could just be a little thing. Let's see what happens here on the replay.
It's coming up right here again, out of nowhere. It was that left jab straight to the chin there, kind of loosens Brandon up right here.
That's an overhand right. I think
it's that hand right there. That's what knocked it down. I think what finished it is right here. He connects with about 4, 5, 6. There's about 4 or 5 rights and lefts right there. Brandon didn't seem to really know what was going on, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Mitch, please, but didn't seem like he was ready out of the fight yet. Was that the referee kind of protecting the fighter a little bit more?
Yeah, and you got to err on the side of, it's like you got to always err on the side of judgment of the ref. He's in there to make sure nobody gets hurt. And, Brandon will live to fight another day, and that's the positive thing. But, it's just really heartbreaking when you put a lot of work in. But, hey, hats off to Steven. He had a nice little right hand. And it's almost like a Superman punch, but he didn't bring it up to his ear.
And this easily, without a shadow of a doubt, the biggest upset of the night, if not the biggest upset that we've had in the past year of Front Street Fights. I don't think anybody expected this. Maybe not if it was a win or lose, but for it to happen in this fashion and this quick.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, Steven did really good. They both took damage. It was good. Good fight.
All right, we'll finish wrapping this up. Let's head back in for the official announcement from ring announcer Britt Talbert.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we have it, our main event of the night. Our fight is stopped at 2:45 of the first round by referee Roland due to strikes. For our winner, increasing his record to 23 wins against 11 defeats out of Orem, Utah, Super Steven Siler. And of course, Steven's gonna take home a swag bag here from our friends at bodybuilding.com. We'll give it to his guys here. We'll have a minute here with Steven. Is this your spokesman here, Steven? Did we bring the spokesman into the ring?
Mighty Brock's manager, Jaden Siler.
Very good. You came up here, you brought some friends up from Orem. You fought all around the country. You fought in some big events. How does this stack up here tonight, Front Street Fights?
It's definitely a fun time. I knew Brandon was going to be tough. He's a hell of an opponent. Didn't underestimate him at all. Look forward to the fight, and I'm happy I got a fight up here in Idaho.
What's next for you, Steven?
I'm going to get home, probably take some time off, actually perfect the cut to 135, and we'll see from there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steven Super Siler up from Orem, Utah for tonight's main event. He picks up the victory here.